looking at you kids.
I wish I knew how to quit eating bugs.
This seems so fun.
There's no place like home.
I'm gonna make him an offer down with you.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Gone with the Wind. We're here to talk about Oscars. We're going to be talking about documentary predictions today. We're going to be talking about the Cinema Eye Honors nominations that came out, which is to do with documentaries. We've got the winners for the Hollywood Music and Media Awards that we talked about last time we were here. And so, yeah, got some bull rolls on a few things, but we've got Dan here. Dan, how's it going?
Oh my God, Malcolm, I missed you last week, and you guys did a great job last week, I might add. You had Dylan and Chad on. Fantastic. I listened to that episode. Fantastic, talking about the Gotham Awards. You know, they did you could win a thing, like a contest for the Gotham Awards if you predicted all the winners. And there's this whole prize pack you win. So I went on and predicted the Gotham Awards. I probably ain't gonna get half of them right, but you never know. But no, man, I've been so busy, Malcolm. You have no idea. I'm screeners out the wazoo. For your consideration, links of tons of foreign films and documentaries. So I've been slammed. So hopefully I bring something to this conversation about documentaries tonight.
But we also got Lewis here. Lewis, how's it going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as Dan because the screeners are coming in, whether it's online, in the mail, screening invites to go to the theater. I've been actually finally getting to be able to attend some of those, and a lot of movies to catch up on, and only so much time if we want to make our deadlines for voting and such. So, but it's busy, but at the same time, it's fun to be this busy about movies, especially at this time of the season.
But yeah, and this is definitely the business end of the season as it is, because like we're going to start getting inundated with things to talk about for sure. Because I was hoping that the nominations would have come out in time for this, but the International Documentary Association nominations are coming out today, but we probably won't know them until next week. So, well, actually, it's probably not today. It's probably tomorrow. Probably because it's 21st here for me now. But yeah. But then, what have you watched in the past week?
Well, Malcolm, it's a long list of things that I have watched in last week. I will start with the most recent. I watched Promised Land, the Mads Mikkelsen movie. I forget what country. Lewis, do you remember what country that is for?
Denmark.
Denmark. Denmark's submission for Best International Feature. Oh, my God. What a fantastic, fantastic movie. I hope Promised Land gets nominated. Mads Mikkelsen is incredible in it. I think with the stacked Best Actor category, I don't think he's going to get in. It's sad because he is fantastic in it. Also saw About Dry Grasses. Oh, my God. This title almost has nothing to do with the movie. Literally almost nothing to do with the movie. This movie premiered at Cannes back in June, and the Oscar expert, everybody else is raving about this thing. And I'm scratching my head saying to myself, what the heck are people talking about? This movie has got one specific difficult subject matter, and it's really a long movie. And I think it's Turkey's submission for the Best International Film because it's Istanbul and they're in Turkey. So unless I'm missing another country that's involved in this, oh God, not a big fan of About Dry Grasses. Another one, Totem, is Mexico's submission for international feature. And this is basically the story of this family through the eyes of this little girl. And she has all these interesting characters in her family, aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces. and people, and they are living their life in this house. She gets dropped off and she just has to stay there all day. And it's basically the story of this little girl throughout the whole day of with her family. And it's, I don't know if it's going to get nominated for Best International Feature. I think it kind of drags a little bit. It's not long like About Dry Grasses, but it feels like it's long, unfortunately. And I could have seen this in Miami when I was in Miami, but I chose to see it. Both Promised Land and Totem were playing in Miami, and I didn't see it. I saw other films. I don't remember if I talked about the Boy and the Heron or not, Malcolm. I can't remember. I saw The Boy and the Heron in Miami, and Miyazaki. We all know Miyazaki is one of the great animators of all time. He's had so many great films. I just don't think this is about half a good film. It's the first half is interesting, and you're really invested in what happens, and then it goes down this rabbit hole, and you're like, what the heck is going on with this movie? And you're like, another one that's a head scratcher for the second half. The first half is really good. We're going to get the Americanized dubbed version on December 8th, so everybody can go to the audience, to the theaters and see it. Malcolm, you're probably same thing. You'd probably be able to go see it around then, December. But I got to see it in Miami for Gems. I liked it. I didn't love it. Let's put it that way. Also, Saltburn. A lot of people are talking about Saltburn, and I got to see Saltburn in Miami as well. The thing about Saltburn, it's Emerald Fennell's follow-up to Promising Young Woman. The thing that I would say about Saltburn, I don't want to spoil anything because I want people to go into this. Barry Keoghan goes there. He literally goes there where you need to go to get yourself into Best Actor consideration. He goes to that level that you say to yourself, wow, nobody's going to go to this level. Maybe like a Will Ferrell would go to this level, or a Seth Rogen might go to this level in a comedic way. This guy's serious what he does in this movie. And you say to yourself, okay, what's he doing? And then out of nowhere, he just goes, it's incredible what he does. I like Jacob Elordi. I like the movie. I didn't love the movie. I don't think it's going to get a lot of awards consideration, except for potentially Barry Keoghan. But that Best Actor race is so freaking stacked. Jacob Elordi he's got 2 movies, Priscilla and Saltburn, that could be a potential for him to get into supporting. Now that's starting to fill up. That supporting actor category starting to fill up. I don't know if Jacob Elordi did enough in either of these films to sneak in, but you never know. Also, American Fiction. It is the real deal. I am not mincing words here, guys. American Fiction is the real deal. Jeffrey Wright is a Oscar contender for Best Actor. Once again, I sound like a broken record, but it's a Tyler Perry movie. If these melodramas that Tyler Perry makes were good, this thing is phenomenal. It's hilarious. I was laughing. The guy from This Is Us. This Is Us. What's
Sterling K. Brown?
Sterling K. Brown is so funny in this. It's like you think of Sterling K. Brown. What the heck is Sterling? You love him. There's another one that could slip into Best Supporting Actor. I mean, he's that good. He could slip in. But these 2 categories are just so freaking stacked right now. Also, All of Us Strangers. Now, I was really under embargo before, but because now people started seeing it. Press screenings started going out. People started seeing it. And I'll tell you right now, Andrew Scott is incredible. Paul Mescal's good. Claire Foy and Jamie Bell are very good in it. But this is a movie that is a vehicle for Andrew Scott to show. I remember him from Sherlock and some people, you've seen him in Fleabag. But this guy is incredible in this movie. But the movie itself overall is just a weird movie, which I'm not going to spoil here for anybody because you got to see this movie for yourself. I'm not going to spoil the movie. But Andrew Scott I think is fantastic, and they have him and Paul Mescal have a relationship in it. So, but I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, but I have friends that really, really love this movie. So there you go. So that just tells you that. Also, Wish, the latest from Disney. I'll tell you right now, if you're a fan of Disney, if you're a fan of 100 years of Disney animation, you're going to love this movie because it's a love letter to Disney. It's a love letter to Disney animation, Disney princesses, and there's boatloads of Easter eggs in here. Once again, not going to spoil anything because I want people to see this. I think the animation is incredible. I would be shocked if this did not make the 5 for best animated feature because I think the animation is incredible. I was just wowed by this animation. That was also saw Thanksgiving. Okay, so if you remember the Grindhouse, there was trailers in the middle of the Grindhouse from Death Proof and Planet Terror. Well, one of the trailers was Thanksgiving, and we were like, "Oh, we've got to see Thanksgiving, y'all!" Or Nazi woman from the SS. When are we getting that, Rob Zombie? But this is Eli Roth, and I'll tell you right now, do not go into this with a light heart because this thing is gory, it's bloody, the kills are incredible. It's got one of your all-time heartthrobs. I think People Magazine's most beautiful man right now, Patrick Dempsey, is in this. I'm not going to say another word. That's all I'm going to say. But if you like a good horror movie, a comedy horror movie, if you will, I think you're going to like Thanksgiving. Also, the prequel to The Hunger Games, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I really love the book. I thought the book was incredible. I think I read the book in like 4 days. It's 500 something words. I read that thing so fast, you have no idea. And I really enjoyed the movie. And I think what a lot of these young adult books to films do well is they condense the book into a palatable film which you can watch. This thing's a little bit long, at 2 hours and 20 something minutes or whatever. And I think a lot of people are kind of like, oh, the third act. Well, the book, if you've read the book, you know the third act is coming and what's going on in the third act. And we all know who Coriolanus Snow is because we watched the Hunger Games, we read the Hunger Games, so we know who he turns into. So there's no spoilers of what happens to Coriolanus Snow. You know what I mean? I actually thought Francis Lawrence learned from his previous experiences with the Hunger Games, and it made a really good movie. Rachel Zegler, coming off of West Side Story, we got Snow White later next year. I think she's coming into her own. I think she's really good. But the two people, I know people have been talking about Peter Dinklage's, I love Peter Dinklage, but Viola Davis, I'll tell you right now, she's got Air and she's got The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. She could slip into Best Supporting Actor with either one of those, actress with either one of those performances. We're gonna have. I'm not gonna say something negative, but I'm not gonna say that. But I love Viola Davis in this. So yeah. So that's enough for me. I mean, I watch TV shows. I watch Reacher season 2, and I know my main man here, Lewis, is gonna talk some more about Monarch. Probably Monarch. Wow, Malcolm, please. You need to watch Monarch: Legacy of Monsters any way you possibly can. If you can get that, that is such a great show. So I'm going to leave it at that. I talked about enough stuff.
Just correct you on something. Snow White's actually not coming out next year; it's the year after now.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Oh, yeah, they pushed it back. I just remembered that.
Yeah. But Lewis, what have you watched in the past with you?
Well, I mean, right now I've been watching like 4 to 5 movies a day, so I'm not gonna cover all of that. I'm just gonna cover some of the major stuff since we last had the show. Poor Things, I got to see. I love Poor Things. I do have questions about how accessible it's gonna be past just getting nominations, because about 1/4 of the movie are sex scenes. Just saying, and when people say that, they're not under hyping it. Like, this is a very, I'm just gonna say it, this is a very horny movie. But beneath that, there's a coming of age story. There's a story about someone coming into their own womanhood. I like the themes in terms of what women have to deal with in society regarding men. But it's not one of these movies that just focuses on the negative. I really like Yami Rusev's character in this, who's supposed to play, he's sort of like the prototypical nice guy. I really sympathize with his character. Mark Ruffalo is so fun. He's so over the top. It's so easy to laugh at him because he is a bad dude. But he does it in such a way that you're not as uncomfortable because you can laugh at what a doofus this guy is. William Dafoe brings the heart to the movie. He's basically plays the father role in this film. And it really is the kind of movie that I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but for me, I really dug it. I really was able to go with the vibes. I do think it's a little bit long, and at a certain point, I thought the sex scenes were starting to get to be a little. It got to the point where it was almost like a gimmick that got run to the ground towards the end. But if all that aside, I really enjoyed this film. I think this is going to be some folks' favorite film of the year, which should get it into picture, even though I have questions to whether it can win.
Lewis, I apologize. I got to do two more. I am so sorry, man. I don't want to cut you off. I apologize. Poor Things. I just want to jump in on Poor Things real quick. I love Poor Things as well, man. Me and you had a conversation after this. Lewis messaged me out. What did you think of Poor Things? I freaking loved it. All the technical aspects, the acting, and we all know
the direction.
It's The Bride of Frankenstein, or the direction is great. I'll tell you what, I think this is more accessible than you think it is. I'll be honest with you. I think it's more accessible than you think it is. But I want to say Maestro. Wow. Bradley Cooper. I'll tell you what, all the work he put into this, Malcolm, acting, directing, producing, doing the music, doing all the stuff he did, this guy could be looking at multiple Oscar nominations himself. Bradley Cooper could get like 2 or 3 Oscar nominations himself. I think he's the front runner right now for Best Actor. I think the cinematography, especially in the first segment, is incredible. I mean, incredible in Maestro. You got to see. It's on Netflix in a couple of weeks. I cannot say enough about how you got to see this on the 20th of December when it comes out on Netflix. It is a sight. It's a sight to look at. It's so good. Carey Mulligan, another one. With Emma Stone in there, it's going to be hard for Carey Mulligan to win. And from here, Fantasia Barrino brings it as well. But I think she deserves one of those 5 slots for Best Actress. But the music, those music scenes, Malcolm, are incredible. They use Bernard Herrmann's music to perfection. All right, that's it. I'm not going to say any more. I just took it away from you, Lewis, and I apologize. I just took your thunder.
No, it's all right, because I remember that you had also seen Poor Things and Maestro. But yeah, I love Poor Things. I mean, I would love for it to be more accessible. I'm not going to mind. But I just do have questions about that. Following that up, I did also see Maestro, and it is currently battling Oppenheimer for my favorite movie of the year. You know, this isn't just a biopic. This is really a movie about a marriage. And we basically see the marriage from beginning to end. And the way that Cooper uses the style of the way that he presents the story. You start with the whirlwind and the excitement of the courtship, and it feels like this old school 50s Hollywood musical, almost like it. With there's even dance scenes and such, and the way that he moves the camera, the way he uses the production design, and then as the marriage goes on, it almost feels like a 60s or 70s drama. As some of the harshness of what it's like to be with someone for a long time starts to show up, and then the finale and what it really means till death do us part really means, and the tragedy but also the bittersweetness of a love that lasts. And you know, as someone who's been dealing with some personal stuff regarding that, this movie hit me in a way that by the time I got to the theater, I found myself like fighting off tears. I love this movie so much. It is definitely going to be one of my absolute favorite movies of the year. And if if Bradley Cooper can't win an Oscar for this, I have no idea what's going to win him an Oscar. With all due respect to Cillian Murphy, who has a great performance, but that's a subdued performance compared to how showy this is. I do not know what Bradley Cooper can do to win an Oscar if this isn't his vehicle. I really do not. And I do think this cinematography deserves a nomination. And I know the director's stacked this year, but I would like to see at least some recognition for him in director, because what he does with the camera, the work that he does here, it's incredible that this is only his second feature. I mean, it's crazy that he does what he pulls off here. With what he does, what he pulls off here, I would love to see him maybe try his hand at a musical, because I think that he could pull it off as a director with some of the stuff that he does.
He's technically done 2 musicals.
Well, yeah, technically, I'm just talking, like one that there's music going on all the time, that old school type of, like The Color Purple's going to be. Okay, moving on. Also, The Killer. I ended up loving The Killer more than I thought I was going to. It's gonna end up being one of my top tier films. I liked the way that we were following this guy's mental mindset and how everything goes. He has a plan in his head, but it doesn't necessarily always go to plan. And you know how those things go. The Marvels. I know you like this. I saw that you like this, Malcolm. So obviously you'll get your chance to defend it, but I thought it was okay at best. I do see why some people are having fun with it, but for me, I think the fact that I didn't get to see Miss Marvel hurt me when I saw the movie, because I felt like there were certain things that I wasn't able to like catch up on. Particularly, I really wanted to get to know Kamala more as a character and her family. I really wanted to see more of them in terms of like getting to know them better. But because I didn't see Miss Marvel, I think that hurt my watching experience when it came to that aspect of the film. I do appreciate that they tried to make things a little bit more fun. I thought they tried to make us get to know Carol a little bit more and have a little bit more like funny moments with her compared to Captain Marvel. That I kind of appreciated. I'll definitely give the movie another watch, try to give it another shot, because generally I try to really enjoy and have fun with all the MCU movies. Looking right here real quick. Just want to make sure. I already talked about Maestro. All for Strangers. I thought the performances were great. I think there's going to be people who really identify with this movie. I was talking to some critics afterwards, and you could tell the way that it hit them on a personal level. I can't say that it hit me on a personal level there. I did have some issues with some of the decisions that were made towards the finale. There's a little bit of a twist towards the finale. I had a little bit of issues with that. But overall, I thought it was a fine movie. But performance-wise, I agree with Dan. Andrew Scott definitely has a chance to make my personal ballot with the kind of performance he put in here. Also, I did see Wish. I thought it was a fine, cute little movie. I think Disney fans will like the cameos and such. Promised Land, I really like that one as well, Dan. I want to wait to let it sit with me. It might climb higher in my rankings, depending. I thought that was a very well done and shot film. Rustin, incredible performance by Coleman Domingo. He really elevates this movie to take it to another level. If he can, at the very least, if he can't get him for this, maybe it can help him get him for Color Purple for supporting, given that there were supposedly Color Purple got some really great reactions. Thanksgiving, also fun horror film. I wish I cared about the characters a little bit more, but yeah, this movie goes to certain places. I'm not going to go into detail, but there's a certain dinner scene that will make you gasp and cringe as it plays out. And Hunger Games I thought was pretty okay. I'm personally not the biggest Hunger Games fan, but I thought this did what it had to do. Great performances. I will say production design, costumes are definitely potentially going to get into my personal ballot for this movie. May December I thought was pretty good, even though I wasn't totally on board before the movie went. And just to finish this off, I do want to mention that I did catch Next Goal Wins, and this is a very divisive movie. I had fun with this movie. I really did. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was really funny. I guess Taika and me just have the same kind of sense of humor, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think I hit all the major stuff of everything that I've been catching up on.
That's Malcolm's boy. That's Malcolm's boy. I hope he likes it. Malcolm, you're going to love that.
It hasn't even come out here yet. So.
It's your boy. I'm telling you, you're going to love your boy.
Um, but anyway, like for me, and I will disagree with Lewis a little bit. I think they did enough in the movie to catch you up on the stuff you needed to know for Ms. Marvel, like specifically for the plot line of the movie in there. Well, yeah, your viewing is probably enhanced a bit by if you had seen Ms. Marvel, but I think they did enough in the movie to sort of get you to know like all you needed to know like in this like about the power set and all that. I think they did enough to get people into it and so people could watch it and like not feel like they had to do the homework because I think they did enough to catch you up on that. And yeah, like I do have issues with it. So, I'm not going to go too much into this because we did me, Austin, and Steven did a whole spoiler video the other day on the Marvels. But yeah, I just really loved the Marvels. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, well, yes, this is actually one of the few MCU movies I think needed a little bit more meat on its bones because like my issues with it is primarily with the villain's motivations and that and I don't think it really needed like 10 minutes of catching people up on Captain Marvel um but I do like the fact they showed that Cal did in fact um do stuff what I'd say myself there because I'm basically going to spoil something but yeah um other things that I saw, I got around to I got around to seeing Quiz Lady. I really loved this movie. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. But this was just a lot of fun. And yeah, it's one of those ones that hits hard to me because like I love all those kind of TV quiz shows and stuff like that. Like I'm watching it all the time, like answering questions correctly and that. So I was like, this is kind of my dream to make it onto one of these shows eventually. But um, yeah, so it's kind of
Wait,
hit me on a personal.
Will Ferrell was channeling Alex Trebek, wasn't he, Malcolm?
Um, I mean, yes and no. Like, it wasn't it wasn't as Trebeki as what he was in the Saturday Night Live skits I've seen.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, he didn't really lean too hard onto that. But yeah, I saw the British movie Alleluia with David Bradley from Harry Potter, Judi Dench and Jennifer Saunders and a bunch of others. It's a fun movie about the arrest home and that it once again it's set around COVID time but it's just a very important kind of story there. And yeah, and the other ones I also saw Thanksgiving. I love like this is another one that I didn't expect to love as much as I did. I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be on the level of um like Saw Hostel and that. It's like it's going to be a fun horror movie that I'm going to like. That not many people are going to love, but I've heard a lot of people praising it. It was like this is the year of surprisingly good movies where you didn't expect. Like even Saw 10 is one that I didn't expect to hear people praising as much as it did. Um, but and also I finally got around to seeing Five Nights at Freddy's. Like I don't know anything about the game, but I mean for what it was, I enjoyed it enough. I just wish that they didn't go into the whole mindset of we're going to be making this for the fans. We don't need to explain all this lore because the fans are going to know. But regardless, I still enjoyed the movie enough. And yeah, but that's all I've seen. I've seen a lot of other stuff, but none of it that was released this year. But moving on, got some news that came out this week. It was announced that Jimmy Kimmel is returning once again to be the host of the Oscars. Dan, what are your thoughts about Jimmy Kimmel coming back?
Well, I think it's the Academy playing it safe. They know what they got. He's a proven commodity, and he's good, and people like him. And he's not going to say anything too controversial. And I think that right now, with the way the SAG and writer strike, I think they were just waiting in the wings to announce him. They probably had him in the bag months ago, but because of everything going on, and I tend to like when he's the host. Except we had Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway mess up La La Land and Moonlight that year. He's going to be forever known for the host on that one. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see some different people, but I mean, I don't have any problems with him coming back at all.
Louis, what's your thought about Jimmy Kimmel coming back for the Oscars?
Yeah, I think it's the Academy playing it safe, and I understand why I saw a lot of people on Twitter that seem to be a little annoyed about this, but I mean, like, the dude was pretty well reviewed last year for how he hosted. Like, with the exception of the whole, maybe they should have left Malala alone. Everything was pretty well reviewed. People liked how he handled himself. It was the first Oscar ceremony in a couple of years that there wasn't any like major controversy at the end. The ratings went up last year. And on top of that, we also have to remember there was a strike that kind of limited the reach of who they could get to come to even talk to do this. It's not like they could have reached out to like Eddie Murphy or The Rock or anybody else. They were basically limited to what they could go after. And Jimmy is the safe pick. He's an ABC guy. The show's going to be on ABC. He's an ABC guy. So I think this is a safe pick. I don't really have a problem with it. Like, people are like saying that they're getting sick and tired with this guy because it's going to be his fourth time. I'm like, man, you guys would have been able to survive the years of Bob Hope or Billy Crystal with how many times they hosted the Oscars in the past. But yeah, I think he's a safe pick. I don't really have anything against it.
I mean, even Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin, I think they've hosted the Oscars a few times as well. But I mean, look, I've got nothing against Jimmy Kimmel. Like, here's like, I mean, honestly, I hope he keeps the gimmick of having the disaster countdown going at the end of the Oscars. If he keeps hosting, it's like 2 years without disaster. But yeah, I mean, while I do, but it's one of those ones like don't know. From what my understanding of like SAG and that is, I think television, like these talk show hosts, I think they still fall under the SAG umbrella. I'm not 100% sure of that. So whether or not they had this locked in sort of before the strike, or at least before the SAG strike happened, and that, but the timing just didn't work out. That they could have announced it while the strike was going on. I don't know if it was just something they just sort of locked in just recently. But yeah, I don't know where they would have fit. But as Brian said, like, if they really wanted to go interesting, they could have got the Muppets. Like, as far as I know, fictional characters are not under the SAG guidelines. And I know Bibbs would have been happy about that, because I know Bibbs has been clamoring for the Muppets to host the Oscars.
Have them pop up all over the place of the Dolby Theater. Like, have them pop up in the balcony. You have the balcony guys pop up. Yeah, and you go to the back. You got Oscar the Grouch and a garbage can out back or something. Yeah,
and I think
thanks. Go ahead.
And I think ABC has the rights to the Muppets. I want to say, because
ABC is owned by Disney. So
yeah. So it's Disney that has the rights to the Muppets.
Pretty funny. That would have been a pretty interesting how they could have. Yeah, you do a Muppets musical number at the beginning or the end or whatever. I don't know where you put that.
But it is what it is. They didn't go that route this time. I mean, yeah, it's one of those ones like, well, I will say that I don't think it's Jimmy Kimmel's fault that Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway got given the wrong envelope. That wasn't his fault. He did a good job of getting that corrected as quick as he could. And but yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about that much else. Is that I expect it's fun, entertaining, good times, and I expect there's going to be jokes at the strike for sure. You just know that that's one of the things they're going to target. Maybe even he'll target Warner Brothers for the whole let's get cancelled quote for Acme, then they're like uncancelling it. But the other thing that sort of came out that it was announced that Golden Globes is going to be airing on CBS, was it?
Yep.
Yeah,
CBS.
see,
Yeah. So Golden Globes are going to be on CBS this year. And so I don't have much thoughts about this. It's just airing on a station. It's that doesn't exist for me. It's probably going to be on the same place it has been all the time for me. But
it might.
Louis,
You never
what-
know, Malcolm. It could be on also Paramount Plus. You got Paramount Plus in New Zealand?
no.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I would try to help.
I think it. I want to say that it is also streaming on Paramount Plus. I could have swore that they said that.
Well, I mean that's CBS. I'm pretty sure it's under the CBS umbrella. So,
It is.
I mean, it's one of those ones for me, like, because I think for these international things that they'll be streaming on one of the like international centric things that have licenses. Because like for me, it's probably going to be TVNZ Plus or something like that that's going to air, which is the New Zealand TV.
You got
station.
Sky, right, Malcolm? You got Sky.
Yeah, but
That's
they
ABC,
don't have the
right?
right. Weirdly
the-
enough, that as far as I know, Sky doesn't have the rights to the Golden Globes.
No, I'm saying Sky for the Oscars because it's
Well,
Disney.
I mean, Sky. It's once again the Oscars have always been on TVNZ for us. So,
okay, never mind.
yeah.
Okay.
it's been on live free to air. But
Plus, they put it on Disney Plus anyway. So if you got Disney Plus, you could watch it, right?
yeah. But Lewis, what are your thoughts about Golden Globes on CBS?
I mean, it's just interesting to find that they finally got a home and such. It's going to be the more interesting thing to me today. This year is going to be like how are the results going to be now that they've added like literally hundreds of new voters this time around. Like, and because before, like we've talked about, is that they were, even though they kind of did their own thing, they were kind of predictable because of how smaller the group was. But now it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, we got this whole situation with the new categories that they're adding with the stand-up and the blockbuster movie. So, I don't think it really affects much of what I thought before, just that we finally have a place that we know where to catch it.
And Dan, what are your thoughts about Golden Globes on CBS?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a switch from NBC to CBS. They got Paramount Plus. It's basically the same thing. NBC, Peacock, CBS, Paramount Plus. I mean, they just, hey, NBC, you don't want them anymore? Oh, we'll go to CBS. It's just, it's not going to go to a streaming service per se extensively like the SAG. So at least if you have TV, like the old folks, a lot of folks have just TV. They don't have a lot of streaming. They can watch it there. But if you're a big streaming guy like me now, I cut the cord a couple of years ago. Watch it on Paramount Plus.
Let's see if the network change helps with the ratings too, because the Globes have been having some ratings issues of late. I think they've been kind of going backwards. Where after the last couple of years, at least the Oscars have actually slowly been gaining a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I think a lot of people that like has kind of like forgotten about like some of the stuff that they did in the past, like when they switched Best Actor to make you think Chadwick's going to win. And
did you see the dates, Malcolm? Do they have dates yet for the Golden Globes? Is it going to coincide the same weekend as like the Emmys or something like that, or Choice or whatever?
No. So January is going to be a busy month for award shows anyway, because you got the Golden Globes on the 7th. Then the week after that, you've got Critics' Choice Awards, and then the day after the Critics' Choice Awards is the Emmys.
Yeah. And SAGs
and then
aren't
you've
that
got
far behind it,
and
right?
then you've got the nominations for SAG, PGA, DGA happening around that same time
Oscar
too, so-
Oscars at the end of the month.
Yeah, so like when it comes to us for as award show pundits, like January's going to be a really stacked month, just for us. But moving on from that, the Hollywood Music and Media Awards that we talked about on the last episode, they happened last week, and so we've now got the winners. I'm going to start off with like I think we talked about this last time, but I'll talk about it again now. Mark Schreiman got the Career Achievement Award in this. Like he's like for composing a lot of stuff, especially with videos. He was mainly collaborating with like Rob Reiner and people like that. But Dan, what are your thoughts about Mark Schreiman getting the Career Achievement Award?
Look, these people that get these awards, they get them for a reason. They had a great career, and I can't off the top of my head think about some of the music that he created, but it's a lot of great sitcom music. And if it's stuff with Rob Reiner, it's probably like All in the Family and some of these type of shows. I don't know for sure what the guy did, but it seems like that's the kind of stuff that he would have did. And there's some great catchy sitcom themes over the years.
But Lewis, what are your thoughts about Mark Schreiman getting the Career Achievement Award?
Yeah, basically ditto everything Dan said. It's you know, I can't think of the top of my head his catalog, but I'm pretty sure it's probably very worthy and some stuff that would be very impressive.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to get into that because I just quickly looked up his Wikipedia. Like he had a whole bunch of movies like that he composed for in the one small block because like he did things like When Harry Met Sally, Misery, City Slickers, City Sister Act, Mr. Saturday Night, A Few Good Men, Sleepless in Seattle, The American President, The First Wives Club, Patch Adams, South Park, Big Long and Uncut, weirdly enough. And that's all in the 90s, or well, When Harry Met Sally's late 80s, but all that is just the 90s alone. So I was like, he also did like he also did like the Catch Me If You Can score for the Broadway musical Catch Me If You Can, mind you, and then he did the recent revival of Some Like It Hot as well, and he's gotten Tony nominations for those as well. So yeah, he also did Mary Poppins Returns, which is like probably a really important one, and yeah, so he's definitely been in that business. So I think it's about time he's gotten the Career Achievement Award. Not that I've followed these Hollywood Music and Media Awards forever, but moving on to the first category, we've got original score for feature film, and that went to Killers of the Flower Moon, composed by Robbie Robertson. But Dan, what are your thoughts about Killers of the Flower Moon getting best original score for feature film?
Well, let me tell you something about this. I think that there's one of these, okay, somebody passed away. They've had great work over their careers. Let's start giving this person a posthumous awards. And it looks like, I mean, I don't know. It looks like this guy might be nominated for the Academy Award. He might possibly win posthumously here. And I just don't think Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, the score's okay. I mean, maybe Lewis or you will have something different to say, Malcolm, but I just think I like the May December score is incredible. I mean, Oppenheimer scores. There's some really good scores. I like the Holdover score. So I don't know. Maybe this is just their way of saying, here you go, Robbie Robertson. We love all your work that you did over the years. So, and I'm not taking anything away from the work either. I mean, it's decent work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And out of the three movies you mentioned, only Oppenheimer was the only one out of the three you mentioned that was actually nominated opposite the Killers of the Flower Moon. The Holdovers didn't make it into this category. And And May December's score didn't make it in. But Lewis, what are your thoughts about Killers of the Flower Moon getting original score for feature?
Yeah, it's definitely something to look at. I mean, the Killers score, I really enjoyed it when it kicks in the beginning, when it kicks off by kind of explaining the Osage and the oil and all that stuff, and then the introduction of Leo at the beginning. I can't say that the score ever really like spoke to me after that, up until when the FBI shows up, and there's these moments where I feel like the score is able to kind of ratchet up the tension whenever the FBI is doing certain parts of their investigation. But other than that, I can't say that the score necessarily popped out. I mean, not now. That being said, you know, Robbie Robertson has had a lot of good stuff in the past. He's worked a long time with Scorsese. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, and I think that there's going to be a push to see, well, this is our chance to award him and give a tribute to him. So it's interesting to me that it was able to upset Oppenheimer here. At the same time, I decided to go back and look at how predictive this is, and it's very hit or miss. So this doesn't necessarily mean that it's Oppenheimer's in trouble, but I do find it very interesting that given how much we're assuming Oppenheimer's score is going to be locked in, that it did come up short here. So it's going to be something that I want to keep an eye on to see if there's going to be this push, especially by the music branch, to try to give Robbie Robertson a tribute by giving him the win here. But I still think, and maybe as things go on, my mind would change. I still think Oppenheimer is the score to beat.
And they've been hit and miss posthumous. We know what's his name went for the movie in '76. Peter Finch for Network, and then Chadwick Boseman didn't win for Best Actor. So
Heath Ledger did.
Heath Ledger did. So they're hit and miss on posthumous Oscars. So you just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like, I mean, I've still got to see Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm still going to get around to that. But, I mean, I still think there's a really solid chance the score's still going to be nominated at the Oscars regardless. Because, and I think, like, you're still going to get Oppenheimer in there. We'll get into one of the other ones I think will be there in a minute. But yeah, like, I think it winning here, I think it did what it needed to sort of maybe get the into the music branch. Like, this score is something that is still really good. And yeah, but moving on to original score for independent movie, and this went to The Zone of Interest, and this is one that I think this is the obvious one, because the other ones that were nominated in this category, like, movies I've vaguely heard of, like Dream Scenario and Jules, and then other ones I've just never heard of. But I think with this one getting a lot of sort of talk at the moment, and that I think this could maybe get this and give it a little bit of a push, and maybe get it to be people to have a look at it and consider it for scores. I don't know, like, but it's definitely its win here is going to help it. But Lewis, what are your thoughts about The Zone of Interest winning original independent score?
Yeah, I've been hearing from some folks that they think that this score has a shot to potentially sneak into the Oscar race and get nominated. It could be potentially something to look out for an Oscar nomination morning. Like, let's say if it gets Score, that could be an early sign that maybe it can sneak into Best Picture as that international pick. Because to me, for it to get into Score would mean that they really are digging this movie. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I think out of all the movies that were nominated here, this is easily the one that has the best possible shot to get into for Score. So I'll be keeping an eye to see if Zone of Interest could go all the way to Oscar, to at least, I don't think it's win competitive, but to at least get nominated for Score.
And Dan, what are your thoughts about Zone of Interest getting best original score independent movie?
Yeah, I'm seeing Zone of Interest in 2 weeks, well, a little over a week and a half. So I'll let you know more about the score then. But it just tells you that they're trying to find places to put this movie. They love this movie so much, and if the music is a big thing, that is an added bonus to some of the other categories this movie could sneak into. It could be the Cold War or the what's the Quaron movie from a couple of years ago. Oh God,
Parallel Mothers.
Roma.
Parallel Mothers. Oh, Roma.
Roma,
No.
the Cold War, or Drive My Car. It could be. Problem is, we got 2 of those type of movies this year with Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. So, are we going to get 2 foreign language films?
And don't forget the industry sometimes surprises and decides to do something different than critics. Like last year with All Quiet.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, you're right. That's the point. Good point. Yeah, so yeah, it's always a good sign when you win something, Malcolm. So
yeah. But moving on to original score for animated movie, and that went to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But Dan, what are your thoughts about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse winning original score for animated?
Well, I'll tell you this. I am not the biggest fan of the music overall of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but you cannot deny the greatness of the music. I've been listening to the songs, and I've been listening to the background music and a lot of the stuff in this movie. They really went the extra mile to make the music of this movie stand out. So I can see where this won for score. And there's a shot that maybe one of their songs could sneak into best song, because I've been listening to these songs, and there's a lot of like hip hop, more modern type of music in the song category regarding this movie too.
Luis, what are your thoughts about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse winning original animated score?
Yeah, it's got a full soundtrack, which could help it big time. The way that obviously that's helping Barbie in the music division as well. I think this just confirms what I said before when we were talking about the nominations. Is that, look, as much as I adore Elemental, I just am not buying the talk that that's going to get into score, because Spider-Verse is the one that has a potential shot to get into the best picture race. Spider-Verse is the favorite. At this point, I think it's the heavy favorite to win the animated feature at this point for the Oscar. So I think this is just another sign that this, and again, just like Zone of Interest, if we're watching on nominations morning and this gets into score, that is a potential sign that this has a chance to get into that best picture slot. I think if it misses here, if it doesn't even get into score here, I would say that's a red flag that it doesn't get into picture. So the favorite to win animated feature, but it probably doesn't get into picture if it can't even get score. But I think this is a great sign for it, and more proof that it's this and not Elemental. That's the animated movie that has the best shot at getting to the score nominations.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones. I don't think the Into the Spider-Verse score got nominated for the Oscars in the score category back in 2019. But I could be wrong. So this could be like it's one of those ones. I don't necessarily think missing out on score is going to be too much of a red flag at the Oscars. Just because I think like it's still going to get an animated at least, and I think, if I will say if an animated movie is going to get into score, it is going to be like Spider-Man First is the one that's going to do it, because I don't see the other. The heavy hitter of Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, getting into Best Original Score.
No, but it could get in the song now. No, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm telling you right now, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken has a legit shot of getting in the song. I'll put that 2 cents out now. I think there's a song in that movie that's really, 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 really good. Go ahead. Sorry.
You'll get into song in a minute, but with how stacked the song category is at this stage, I really don't see it happening. and I don't even see Eddie for Brady getting in either.
Oh no, those are fighting words, Malcolm. Those are fighting words.
Once again, we'll get into that later. But I'm moving on to the one that actually surprised me, because the winner of this category took out like Hans Zimmer for The Creator, James Newton Howard for The Hunger Games, and it's the category for Best Original Score for Science Fiction Fantasy Movie, and it went to the score for The Marvels, which is done by Laura Cartman, who's also scored American Fiction. But it just interests me for this one because there was Alexandra Splat for Asteroid City there. The Barbie score was there. Hans Zimmer was there. There's a lot of heavy hitters here, and it just surprised me this is the one that took out. I don't think it's going to be one of the 5 best original score at the Oscars, but I just think it's interesting. This is the one that won here. But Luis, what are your thoughts about The Marvels taking out original score for science fiction fantasy?
Yeah, that's a big surprise, especially when you have Barbie there, and we know that Barbie is probably going to be a big hit with the music branch. So that's definitely a big surprise. And then you got The Creator in here, Asteroid City, Hunger Games. I mean, so that is kind of surprising, but I think it might just be a little bit of an outlier that you sometimes get this from the Hollywood Music and Media Awards.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say very quick before I go to Dan, I think with Barbie, I think maybe part of the reason it may have missed the score, maybe a lot of people like, we don't remember the score much, but we remember the songs a lot more. So
I agree, and I think that's why I wouldn't be too surprised that Barbie gets a lot of love, like getting 2 songs in, and then maybe it misses out on score on Oscar nominations morning.
But Dan, what are your thoughts about The Marvels taking out the original score for science fiction fantasy?
Yeah, that's a weird win for that movie. I mean, I like the movie a little bit more than Lewis did, and maybe not as much as you did, Malcolm. But I don't remember the score being that in my mind. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You know, it's just maybe all those other ones split votes, and then the Marvels ended up winning because of that or something.
I mean, the other one I'm wondering is because maybe it's a case of they saw the name Laura Cartman as like, well, we know that Killers is probably going to win original score for feature, so we want to give Laura Cartman something because, as I said, she did do the score for American Fiction. So I mean, that could be what happened here. I don't know. I'm not trying to read anything into this, but
can I ask Dan real quick, because he's the only one here who's gotten to see American Fiction. I'm going to get to see it on the 28th. But do you remember the score to that movie?
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, it's got a lot of like bluesy, jazzy kind of sounds in it and stuff like that. And it's you'll remember the score for American Fiction when you watch the movie. I think it does stand out.
But moving on to the next category, which is original score horror thriller movie, and that went to A Haunting in Venice, which was scored by Hulda Gundadottir. I'll probably still butcher that name, even though we've talked about it so many times over the years. Ted, what are your thoughts about A Haunting in Venice getting original score for horror thriller?
Yeah, I could see why it won. That is a good score. That movie, one of the few things in that movie that does stand out, it's got a spooky kind of vibe to it. The score does. Interesting that she ends up jumping on board on that movie, you know, of all the things she could be getting involved in, you know. But yeah, really good score. I agree there. Not the best movie, but the music really brings some of the vibes of what they're going for there together.
Lewis, what's your thoughts on Haunting in Venice getting original score for horror thriller?
Yeah, I think this is kind of predictable given the contenders, especially with the gravitas that Hilder has built up. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think she was robbed of getting a nomination for the Women Talking score last year, in my opinion, because that was one of my favorite scores of last year. Dan doesn't seem to agree. But
I agree. No, I agree.
Oh, okay.
I'm shaking my head in disbelief. That was a really good score.
And you know, and she did some good work in Tar with some of the stuff that she did there. And
they said she took like they couldn't tell the difference of what she was
Yeah.
doing, what was the music.
Yeah, that's why the Academy didn't allow to submit and such. But yeah, I'm not surprised. And the score in the movie is good. Even though I mean, I like the movie more than Dan did. But yeah, the score in the movie is good. If anything, it's just another chance for them to check the name of Hildur and give her a little bit of a tribute there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's as we said on the when we were talking about the nominations, like this doesn't surprise me at all. Like I think everyone predicted Haunting Venice to take it out, because when you look at the other people ones that it's up against, like Knock at the Cabin, Megan, the Boogeyman, which and I liked Knock at the Cabin and Megan. I really don't remember the score too much in that. And then, as we said, like Infects Disbelievers, like there's a lot of the original themes and stuff. So there may have been a case they may not be able to tell the difference between what David Ringo and Amin Abbasasi did with the score and what was the original Exorcist theme as it is. But moving on to the winner of Best Original Score for Documentary, that went to still a Michael J. Fox movie. I mean, look, I don't think we've ever had a documentary score make into the 5 for the Oscars. I've still got to see this. It's been on my list to watch at some stage, but this one doesn't surprise me. I think it's the documentary that people may have heard of. Because like I know, like unless you're really looking into documentaries, I know you've probably heard of stuff like The Pigeon Tunnel, Devil's Breath, and Kangaroo Valley, and all that. But I think still Michael J. Fox movie is the one that most people know and probably would be interested in seeing. But Luz, what are your thoughts about still the Michael J. Fox movie winning documentary score?
I think it's an extension of the love that I've been seeing this movie get, because there was also the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards, and that it did great there. It won Best Documentary, it won Best Director. It won Best Bio Documentary. I mean, they really went crazy for that documentary. I have this feeling that this is going to be that documentary that misses, because every year there seems to be one that's very popular and it somehow either it misses the shortlist or on nomination morning it misses. I have a feeling that it's this one, because it's definitely more of more like archive and about an individual, and those tend to have a little bit of a trouble to get into the Oscars. But otherwise, I've been seeing a lot of love and respect for this documentary. I actually got to see this documentary for the first time, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and I really liked it. I think this anything that's just an extension for the love of this documentary. I just have this feeling that this is going to be that documentary this year that finds a way to miss, because it happens every year.
Well, all right, go ahead, Malcolm. Sorry.
Dan, that's what I was going to throw it to you anyway. What are your thoughts about still Michael J. Fox movie getting documentary scores?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to be, crapping on the movie and crapping on the man with disease, Lou Gehrig's disease or whatever he's got.
Parkinson's.
But the score for Pigeon Tunnel was way better. I cannot say enough about how incredible the score for the Pigeon Tunnel is. In the movie, it's a better documentary than, and I hate to say it, still was in my top 10 halfway through the year, but I've seen a lot more documentaries since then. And I think it's just a love for the man. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's about, we're going to show love for the man who is the person who's in the movie, and that's Michael J. Fox, and that's in his career, and that's what it comes down to. I think you can't take a lot of stock in this as far as the Academy Awards go, because I think if there is going to be, I think, Malcolm, there could be a documentary score that could get in the score, and there's some really good scores in a few documentaries. Pigeon Tunnel is one of the better ones. If you haven't seen Pigeon Tunnel,
I would agree with you, Dan, that I think Pigeon Tunnel is the better documentary.
Yeah. So, and I hate to do it, but I would, if I had some of these other docs that I love a lot more than this one at this point in the year, I would rather see them take this one out and keep some of my other ones that I love so much at this point, Lewis. But a lot of people are saying that this is.
I mean, I'm in.
That's the jinx for Still by winning the Critics' Choice.
I'm in agreement, but again, I did really like Still. I did really
No,
like
I did
Still.
too. It was in my top 10 of halfway through the year.
We'll get more into documentaries in a bit.
We only have a half hour. We're gonna go quick.
Yeah.
Well, see, essentially, we've still got an hour. So,
I thought
it's
you
only.
oh, never mind.
It's 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's.
Yeah. You got a strong out at 9. I thought it said 826, not 806. My bad, Malcolm. My bad.
But yeah. Moving on to the song categories now. For best original song for feature film, it went to What Was I Made For from Barbie, done by Billie Eilish. Yeah, this is one that was. I think this is definitely getting into to the original song category. Whether or not it brings I'm Just Ken in with it, that is still sort of yet to be seen. But it is one of those ones that, once again, it's going to be interesting to see how The Color Purple does, considering like now that they can sort of get out there and sort of promote these stuff again. Now, it's going to be interesting because, but yeah, but Lewis, what are your thoughts about What Was I Made For from Barbie winning Best Original Song?
Yeah, this is making me think that this might be the ticket for them. I know there's a lot of love for Ken, but and then of course there's some people who want to champion Dua Lipa song, which I accidentally thought was Olivia Rodrigo's song when we last talked about this. But I think they just might be it because they just really love themselves some Billie Eilish. I mean, remember she won an Oscar a couple years ago for the James Bond film. Now I'm trying to see because we thought that Lady Gaga might be about to get her second Oscar last year with Top Gun, and then of course RRR came out of nowhere. So I'm trying to see if maybe that could happen here, but it's really hard for me. And this is coming from a guy who's a little bit skeptical as to how not getting to Best Picture, but in terms of can Barbie win. I just have a hard time not seeing Barbie escaping with the song Oscar at the moment because I feel like it's really loved by the music branch. We saw it overperform with some Grammy nominations. I think this might be the early front runner, but I don't want to be too cocky about it because I'm Just Ken is it's a very fun song that I can see some people getting behind. If Dua Lipa song gets in there, I think it could be interesting. But at the moment, I gotta think that What Was I Made For might be our early front runner. And I know that some people want to see Ken win, or maybe they're really behind Dua Lipa song. But this is the problem with Barbie. It's got an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the song category.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those ones like considering like the competition for a song at the moment. I don't think we see more than 2 songs from Barbie in there.
Well, I think they're not allowed to have more than 2, right?
They cut it down because it was a Disney award where Disney had like 3 sometimes or 4 various movies, sometimes the same movie. So they cut it down to 2 from each one, I believe.
So the question is which 2 songs get in?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think like considering Dua Lipa's song did not make the nominations at here, I'm thinking it is more likely going to be I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For. I think those are 2 they're going to get in because I think as I said on the when we were talking about the nominations, like I'm Just Ken, you're going to have Ryan Gosling sing, but you're also going to be able to get Slash and Wolfgang Van Halen on that stage as well because they are involved with the song as well. So you're going to have this like powerhouse of people who on that stage. So but Dan, what are your thoughts about What Was I Made For winning original song for feature film?
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't want to see Billie Eilish win a second Oscar for this song. And Billie and Phineas and all these guys. I think if they start winning a bunch of Grammys for this, and this has already won this, I'm like, come on. We how about give it to somebody else? Somebody that's been nominated 14 times, who hasn't won, who has a lot of fans in the music branch. But also, I want to see Jack Black get up there singing Peaches. I want to see Ryan Gosling get up there, see I'm Just Ken. I don't want to see Billie Eilish and Phineas up there again. I want to see different things. I want to see oddball, off the wall things. I don't want to. I mean, look, I think A Wish has got a legit shot for Wish. I even think you want to talk about two from one movie. I think the Chris Pine song is better than the Phineas and What's Your Face song from that. I think Ken is the one that you should be really getting behind, because that's the one that's the odd, off-ball, weird. Oh, we're going to get Ryan Gosling to sing a song, or we're going to get Jack Black to sing a song, or we're going to get 5 amazing women from the 1980s potentially that could sing a song. But then Chris Pine could get up there and sing a song, or our girl Ariana Grande to sing instead of act. You don't know. But yeah, I'm not really on board with this. But I'll tell you what, if it starts taking a bunch of Grammys, Malcolm, along with this, I think you could. Oh God, it's not looking good for me.
I do wonder if this shows us that any threat of maybe them splitting the vote is not going to happen here, because there were 2 Barbie songs in here and a Barbie song still won. So maybe that's a sign there that they don't have to be scared of it splitting the vote.
Yeah,
Real quick, Malcolm. The only thing we love a popularity contest with the Academy. Sometimes they see things and say, "Oh, the Ken song. That's the one that's going to get people tweeting and Xing and blue skying and threadsing and all this kind of stuff the next day." Another song with Billie Eilish and Phineas singing. Okay, whatever. Hold on.
Well, don't forget when they screen. Don't forget when they screen it in the Academy, they show the song as in the context of the movie. So the Ken song is going to have that fun scene there, whereas the Billie Eilish song though could get to that has hit some people in the feels.
I will say I rewatched Barbie the other day. That Billie Eilish song is not part of the credits. That is a very important part of the movie. Like and that was playing in the scene where like Barbie is talking to
the creator.
Ruth Handler. And that was that poignant moment of like her finding out why she was made and all that. So like that song does appear at a very important part of that movie. So it's I mean, and it's one of those ones like when they do, like I think it's whether not they do, but I think there's still a way you can still make it fun on that stage. And I'm sorry then to burst your bubble here, but you know what song wasn't nominated in this category?
I don't care. I don't care. Diane Warren has a freaking group of people that keep nominating her every year when she has the most obscure songs in the most obscure movies. This is a bigger song with massive star appeal attached to it in a good, fun movie. I'm gonna beat the drum till it's dead, because.
But didn't she get in here? Didn't she get in here for Flaming Hot?
That's the wrong movie.
As far as I know, Flaming Hot wouldn't be eligible at the Oscars.
Okay.
No, I mean,
movie. Go ahead, Malcolm.
But it's one of those things like trends are made to be broken, though. So this could be the year that Diane Warren doesn't get in.
I mean, if she can get in with those stars singing that song, that just tells you how stacked song is this year.
No, the song is real set, and we'll get to that later because it's also the reason I don't think we're going to get 2 Barbie and 2 Wish in this category.
No, I know.
Just very quick.
They want to spread the love. I like that, Malcolm. I like them spreading the love to get a bunch of movies in here. I mean, don't get me started on the multiple 6 and 7 nominees because I could go on forever about that.
But just very quickly, I'm going to just say this one. I'm not going to talk about, as I don't think any of you have seen this movie. But the original song for independent movie went to a song called "I Got You" from a movie called Holiday Twist. I don't know if anyone's ever have heard of that movie at all. So
I got the screener of it. I could have watched it, but I didn't watch it.
But moving on to original song for animated movie, that went to Better Place from Trolls Band Together, performed by NSYNC. And that took out Peaches and Wish in this category. And
Trolls has won this before, right? Malcolm, Trolls has won best song before, right? Am I correct or wrong?
It was nominated. I think it lost to La La Land. Didn't it lose to La La Land?
Did it?
I will.
Trolls has had real good luck in the song categories before. When you got people like Justin Timberlake attached to your songs, it's a good thing.
But this is the part of the reason that that I think Trolls Band Together is a very good shot to take out one of the Wish songs out of contention here, because you've got Timberlake, but you've also got the rest of NSYNC with a really original song.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Them up there on the
and I know there's some controversy with Timberlake, but the Academy has shown that if they like what the song or the performance or whatever enough, they're willing to ignore that stuff.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those ones like even with the Oscars, like the way I see it is like, why would you pass up a chance to have have NSYNC reunite on stage and to do to a song like, so I think this is a good shot of maybe taking out one of the Wishes.
And good point. You make a good point, Malcolm. I just think, how about open the show with something like this, like they did that year?
Well, reportedly they're trying to open the show with a Barbie song.
Oh,
that's
really?
the report.
Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah. I mean, even if it doesn't get nominated, I wouldn't be surprised if they open it with "I'm Just Ken" or something like that.
All right, that's fine. That's no problem.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that I know you want 80 for Brady to get there, but I think. Yeah, but I think, especially if they want like a lot of the younger audience to tune in, they'd probably be more interested to see NSYNC reunite than they are to see a bunch of singers that they may not been alive to appreciate. So
okay, now I want the reverse side of that. Okay, the reverse side. You got Jack Black in Peaches. That's going to attract young people. You're going to get Barbie, Ken singing, Ryan Gosling singing, or Billie Eilish and Phineas. That's going to attract the young girls, the teen, early women crowd. You get a Wish song. That's another young type of person crowd. Trolls, that's a young. Well, you need this flip side of that. You need a song that's going to attract the older audience, which 9 out of 10 are going to watch the Academy Awards. Older people tend to watch it because they stay home most of the time. So you mix it up and you get the Brady song in there. So that's I know, Malcolm. I know you got.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those ones. Like I just think there's a lot. The song category is so stacked this year that
it's a great.
I just really think 80 for Brady has a really tough time to get it.
I know it does. I know it does. I absolutely agree with you. It does have a tough time. I just think with her having a body of people that keep nominating her songs, it's still, you can't count it out. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. As I said, trends are made to be broken. Like this could be the year that Diane Warren misses. But then she comes back next year with something else.
This is the Roger Deakins situation, Malcolm. Mark it down. People know about this now. Just like they realized Roger Deakins hadn't won a cinematography Oscar. People know that Diane Warren have not won an Oscar. And she didn't even win for Armageddon, which was the biggest song in the world at that time. So that's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
I mean, technically, whether or not you want to count it, technically she does have an Oscar. She did get an honorary Oscar last year.
Well, that don't count. That don't count. I don't count that.
But anyway, getting back on track here. Look, as much as I know people love Peaches, I think we're only going to get one of those fun songs in here, whether it's Peaches or I'm Just Ken. And I think, unfortunately, I'm Just Ken has the more powerful fan base at this point. Because I think people
it's a bigger movie.
Oh, one more point, Malcolm. Not to take your thunder away. One more point. I think this is look. We're starting to see some of these things kind of come out the wash, and it's looking like a lot of these things are pretty. I think the guilds are going to play a major role in how song plays out, like it did last year with RRR. It kept on winning guilds left and right and right and left. RRR did. And that's going to be a big one this year. Keep an eye on the guilds, the local guilds, the North Carolinas, the Floridas, the whatevers, and see how song plays out in some of these smaller guilds.
Though ironically, I believe Top Gun won our guild, Dan.
RR won ours, did it? RR won our guild.
It won international feature, but I think it was runner up for song.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But with Peaches, it's one of those ones because I think if Super Mario Brothers makes it into animated, I think it may bring Peaches in with it. But yeah, we'll get once the Annie Awards come out, we'll probably get the animation guys back and we can talk about that more in depth.
I will say they are pushing Peaches. They are pushing Peaches because I've seen some pictures of some of the stuff that they're sending people. But I'm in agreement with Malcolm. It feels to me like that song that just misses out.
It's in the radio. They're playing it on the radio. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, once again, there's no doubt that they're not. I'm pretty sure they're playing I'm Just Ken on the radio as well. Very similar to that argument. But Louis, very quickly, what are your thoughts about Better Place winning Best Original Animated Song?
Yeah, it's surprising to me, and it might show some weakness there for Wish or Elemental, which also had a song in here, and then Peaches. I would have liked to see Peaches win here if it was really going to try to make a push for that Oscar nomination, but I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's an outlier. But at the same time, it's potentially shows some weakness for those animated features that are legitimately trying to get into Best Song.
Yeah. And I will say, out of the Wish songs I've heard, I don't like any of them. I'm not a fan of any of the songs.
I'm with Dan. I like the Chris Pine stuff, but other than that, I found the other stuff kind of forgettable.
A Wish? You didn't like A Wish? You didn't think
No.
A Wish was good?
I thought it was just okay. To me, the stuff that stood out to me was the duet with Pine and Pine's villain song. That's the stuff that stood out to me.
Well, Pine's villain song was good, but I thought in the context of the movie, A Wish really is strong in the context of the movie and I don't want to spoil anything from Malcolm. As far as a Disney fan, Disney animation, 100 years of Disney, it really kind of you need that whole package to understand the meaning and the depth of A Wish, in my opinion. But Malcolm hasn't seen the movie, and if you listen to it out of context of the movie, you can't really get the grasp of how powerful it is. For me, that way. But hey, Lewis had a different opinion.
The one thing that worries me about Wish is the fact it's going to have a whole bunch of Easter eggs, and I like Easter eggs, but too much is too much, and I'm always just going to take away from the actual story. It's I'll spend most of my time putting out, hey, look, that's Buzz Lightyear in the corner, something like
that. Yep. There is someone that can fly in it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do that.
Anyway, Dan, what are your thoughts about Better Place winning Best Original Animated Songs?
Better Place. What's it from again?
Trolls.
Band Together.
Oh, no, I just said. I mean, I think it just shows that I think some of these like little industry kind of side category type groups like song and music and stuff. There's probably a lesser. I don't even know what the membership of this guild is, but I think when you get an overall kind of everybody votes on something, you might get a little bit more straightforward kind of winner of something like this. I mean, look, NSYNC, whatever. I mean, I actually was sick during the screening of this, and so I didn't see it. It was on a Saturday morning, like a week or two ago, and I was sick, so I couldn't see it. So I'm hoping to get the publicity, the universal publicity link, so I could see it, so I can then consider it for animated and song and all this stuff. I'm not a big boy band fan, so I don't know. I guess I'm putting my personal feelings in here.
Yeah, all good. I'm not going to bother getting a big discussion about this. The original song for documentary went to Todo Fu Por Amor from the documentary called With This Light. That's what it is. Original song from Sci-Fi Fantasy. Once again, I will probably just touch on this too, unless anyone really wants to talk about it. It went to Can't Catch Me Now from the Hunger Games Ballad of Songs and Songbirds and Snakes, which kind of makes me worried about the Wonka songs getting into original song a little bit. I'm just going to say that. Anyone else, any thoughts on this?
Well, Wonka, and it beat out Wonka and Little Mermaid. Now, to be fair, there were multiple songs for both of those, so maybe this vote was split, but it does potentially show some red flags for that.
And I did like that song. I think that's that main song in the movie, Lewis. The main.
I need to check. I would have to check. But this is Olivia Rodrigo song, and that could be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that was a good song.
Be interesting.
That added to the movie quite nicely, I thought. And I've heard it.
But my biggest takeaway is the same takeaway that you had, Malcolm. It's a potential red flag about Wonka songs. Not that the Wonka songs are bad, but in terms of can they get into the Oscars?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's necessarily a red flag of that big of a red flag, because we won't truly know until the shortlists come out in late December. But I think this. I even said this on nominations. This is probably going to be a case that both Wonka and Little Mermaid are going to split votes, and Olivia Rodrigo is just going to walk through the carnage, like come out as a victor. But yeah, I think that is the last one that we really need to talk to. I will say they've got a category. Oh, actually, there's another category, couple categories here. They've got a category for song for on-screen performance, and that went to High Life from Flora and Son. So that might give it a little bit of thing there.
Maybe a potential red flag for the Ken song too, because it didn't win here either.
Yeah, but I think it's once again, I think it's a case of maybe they wanted to give Flora and Son some love somewhere, and that was the only other place it could have gotten.
I can't get my Gold Derby out to work. Dang it. Yeah, I'll tell you, Flora and Son, guys, High Life, phenomenal song. This has got a legit shot. I mean, a legit shot to getting in there, because it's once the once guy, what's his name? That, and he's got at least a couple songs in that movie. John Carney. He's already won before. So that's the only thing about that where I could see where, he's won. Billie Eilish and Phineas have won. Let's give somebody else a shot. Put some other things in there. But High Life, phenomenal song. I love that. I could listen to High Life all day long. That's how much I like that.
I mean, it might depend on how many people are behind that song, pushing for that song too, because
Malcolm, I heard Sundance last year. They were raving about. They're like best song, legit shot at best song next year.
Yeah, well,
My life, right?
yeah,
out
yeah.
of Sundance. That's a year and whatever
Yeah,
away.
no, yeah, no. I don't doubt that. I think it's one of those ones like John Candy is one of those ones because John Candy missed for Sing Street. So I mean, and a lot of people and once again the drive you like you stole you or whatever it's called is the one that everyone was raving about should have been nominated. So I think this could get that same treatment. Everyone's raving about it, but it just doesn't get the love behind it.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I mean, this song's category is stacked. You said it, Malcolm. It's stacked.
Oh yeah. But and the last category that they do have here, that I was just going to touch on is the award for music themed movie or musical. Everything Trolls Band Together of all movies. And you had Wonka, Theatre Camp, and Little Mermaid nominated in this category, as well as Carmen, but I don't know anything about that. So that could be a way to help it maybe like push out something for animated. So I think, but that's all I'll say on that. Unless anyone else has anything to say about that.
No, I don't have anything, but I don't have my Gold Derby app up, so I'm going to try to wing it on documentary, Malcolm.
Yeah, but yeah. Moving on to the Cinema Eye honors. Now, so nominated for outstanding non-fiction feature at the Cinema Eye honors. You've got 20 Days at Mariupol, 32 Sounds, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project, Kokomo City, still a Michael J. Fox movie. I've only heard of two of those. One has been talked about a lot over the time of doing this, and then one's the Michael J. Fox movie. But Lewis, what are your thoughts of the nominated for outstanding non-fiction feature at the Cinema Eye honors?
Yeah, I still need to see 20 Days in Mariupol. That the screener is actually on my email right now. I haven't caught Four Daughters yet, though. Those again, screeners on my email. I haven't heard of Going to Mars or Eternal Memory. Still, I talked about earlier. Really like it, but I'm not sure it's going to end up on my personal ballot. Kokomo City is one that I'm keeping an eye on. Kokomo City is one of my favorite documentaries of the year, and this is a documentary about Black transgender sex workers. But what makes it interesting is that this is from Dee Smith, who is a transgender music producer, and she creates this interesting thing with this documentary where it has this like interesting, like a bit of a comedic turn to it, where there's some moments of levity with some of the stories that the workers are talking about. It's shot in black and white. It's got this interesting like musical sort of feeling to it, and it's only like an hour and 10 minutes. So it's one of these documentaries that just gets in and gets out. And I've been seeing a lot of sort of building momentum for this one. But I do find it interesting that Beyond Utopia did not get into this, and we've been thinking that could be the big contender. I thought it was interesting that it didn't get nominated here, and considering what we've been thinking, and since we think that maybe still it's not going to get in, it makes me wonder if 20 Days in Mariupol might be the early front runner.
And Dan, what are your thoughts about outstanding non-fiction feature?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of these. I've seen Four Daughters. I've seen Kokomo City. I've seen Still. But without Beyond Utopia in here, it seems to me 20 Days in Mariupol is the front runner. Are they going to give 2 documentary awards in a row, though, for the Academy Award to movies based on the feud with Russia and Ukraine? I'm not trying to bash those people are going through, but this to me, I mean, I liked the one that won last year. Don't get me wrong, but that wasn't my best. I wouldn't have given it documentary Oscar last year. I think getting the president of Ukraine up there to accept it and all that kind of stuff, that was a big deal. This one to me is more effective in really showing the carnage, the bloodshed, the destruction, and it's right over the Russian-Ukraine border, and they attack Mariupol, and it's pretty brutal what you see in this documentary. And this is really live stuff. It's like you're watching this live while you're watching it. You feel like it. I see this is going to win this here. I'd be shocked if something else won.
Now, if still won here, that would make me really go like, wow, they really love this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if Still wins, it's probably the one that's it's going to end up missing.
Yep, Malcolm's right. Malcolm's right.
But I mean, it's one of those ones like there's 7 nominees here. Like, there's a good chance at least, like if the 5 documentary nominations are coming out of this, what's been nominated here, 2 of these are missing somehow. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Just very quickly, I went along to see if Beyond Utopia was nominated for anything, and it was nominated for Outstanding Production, and then it also got the Audience Choice Award, but that's it. It only got 2 nominations at the Documentary Award. So
I mean, that audience choice could be very interesting because it's as we know, audience reception can be very important when we get to the industry compared to critics. So that maybe that's still something good for Beyond Utopia.
Yeah, and just very quickly, I will say to illustrate the difference between the music and media nominations and the documentary when it comes to the score. Still missed out on original score at the documentary, the Cinema Eye Honors Awards. And next week we'll probably be talking about a different documentary, like award show that will be coming out tomorrow, the International Documentary Association. So that could throw some more ventures in here, but yeah, and. Just while we're here, they do have a category for shorts. Even though we don't normally talk about shorts, I might as well just talk about the documentary shorts because chances are what's been nominated is going to come out of here. But the shorts that are nominated here, we've got Array, Between Earth and Sky, Black Girls Play the Story of Hand Games, Deciding Vote, Into the Blue, The Last Repair Shop, Margie Sudeikis, Salt and Pepper Shakers, Neighbor Abdi, Oasis, and Will You Look at Me? Anyone familiar with any of those shorts?
No, unfortunately not. Into the Blue sounds familiar, but I don't know. I just probably mixed it up.
You could be thinking of the surfing movie called Into the Blue.
My mind is going to that. Probably that's what it is.
But yeah, going to finish off with and actually predicting. I will bring up a comment though because Brian is saying that 2 documentaries he hopes does well at the awards is the Mr. Dress Up, The Magic of Make, and Hot Potato Story of the Records. Unfortunately, Brian, I don't see any of those getting there.
I believe that first one won TIFF.
Yeah. So Business Dress Up got TIFF. I think if anything makes it in, I think that if they want to get a feel-good documentary into that mix, then that might be the one that sneaks in. But yeah, it's going to be tough for either of those to get in. But Dan, what do you have as a prediction for what is definitely as a lock for documentary?
I mean, I'm going to the well, guys. I'm just going to go to the well, and I'm going to stick with the movie I think is the best documentary I've seen all year, and I've seen a lot of them, I might add. And I still believe that Beyond Utopia is the one to beat, and it should be the one that gets nominated. But we might have a legit race here with documentary.
But Lewis, what is your thoughts for the lock for best documentary?
Well, if he's going to go with Beyond Utopia, I'm going to go with 20 Days of Mariupol because I think if that's probably very likely to get in, and if it's probably right up there with Beyond Utopia at the moment for what could probably be what wins it all. Yeah,
and I'm just staying out of this because I don't really good documentaries. I know nothing about any of this. But Tan, what is your maybe getting in?
I'll be honest with you. I think I mean, look, and you could tell me, Malcolm, if it counts or if it doesn't count. But I mean, no, I'm gonna say maybe, and I could be completely wrong. This guy has been a big doc. He's won a documentary. I think he's won an Academy Award for documentary. That's the director of the Pigeon Tunnel. I forget the guy's name at this point. I'm going to put the Pigeon Tunnel because I think it's a phenomenal documentary. I think it's when you deal with like one person and a talking head of a person talking, and then you go see their life and the things. I think this movie does it better than Still. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Lewis, if you decide you're going to talk about Still. I think this does it better. I think it's an overall better documentary. And I think the archival footage, the way they just weave in all these different technical things into there. And look, I'm a legit John Le Carre fan. So the fact that this documentary deals with him, his books, and how his books weave through his life and stuff, that like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I'll talk about that movie all day long. And so I'm going with the Pigeon Tunnel. I could be way off base, but I'm going with the Pigeon Tunnel. I know it's a favorite of mine, so that's why I'm going to go with it.
Lewis, what is your maybe getting in?
I'm gonna go with Still, even though I have my reservations as to whether it could get in, and as Dan already gave it away. But I just it did so well with the critics' choice, and I do think there is a possibility that they love Michael J. Fox so much. Who I believe didn't they just give Michael J. Fox an honorary Oscar? I want to say.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so maybe just to maybe squeeze in, it's going to be real interesting to see if it makes it to the short list. If it makes it to the short list, I think it might have a shot to potentially sneak in there. So I'm going to go with Still because it's a big name one. It's being pushed by Apple, which is big because Apple's got a lot of money. So yeah. I'm going to go with Still.
I agree. I went with the other Apple movie, A Pigeon Tunnel.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think Pigeon Tunnel's the better documentary, but I do think that there is a possibility that it's going to be more about the love for Michael J. Fox that could help that Still get in.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Mr. Rogers didn't get in.
Well, that's true. That is true.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
But maybe if Fred Rogers was in Back to the Future, he might.
Very valid point. Very valid point, Malcolm. So we got two more. Are we going to each go two more times?
I mean, if you want to go two more times, you can. But
I like having extra picks, Malcolm. You gave me and Lewis the chance to make extra picks, so I'll definitely do some extra picks here since we have the opportunity.
So what is the other one that you think may be getting in, Dan?
I'll tell you what. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I cannot say enough. I talked on this show over the summer about this one, and I think if you really want to look, I'm not knocking Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm not knocking it, but if you really want to learn about what is going on with the Native American people in this country and the history of the Native American people in this country, I cannot say enough how people need to see Lakota Nation versus the United States. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal documentary. So I'm going with Lakota Nation versus the United States. I actually think it's a better film than Killers of the Flower Moon. I'll be honest with you. I know. Oh my God, how dare you say something like that? But it's the truth, in my opinion. And I'm a massive Scorsese and De Niro fan.
Dan, after you say yelling about Killers of the Flower Moon, my dog looked up and was like, "What?"
Your dog. What is he?
He heard you through my headphones. But Louis, what is your other one that you think may be getting in?
I'm going to go ahead with Kokomo City because I think it's got a potential shot again, and especially if it gets into the short list. I really think the way that it's presented helps it a lot. because it's not just another movie where you kind of sit around and listen to these sex workers tell their stories. I mean, it is like that, but it presents it in a way with the black and white cinematography, the music choices and such. I think it's one that has the potential to get in.
And Dan, what is on the outside looking in for you?
Look, is another one where I got two sports ones that I wanna push. I got two sports ones that I want to push. God, I'm gonna go with Black Ice. It's a documentary about the history of black hockey players in Canada and how they were being persecuted and cut out of hockey in Canada. And there was a racist movement to keep black hockey players out of the NHL and out of hockey. And they had their own little hockey leagues in Canada because they were being shut out of the NHL and stuff like that. And so I know no one's probably heard of this. No one's even seen this except for me. But since we're talking about documentaries and ones that I think are great, I'm going to talk about Black Ice. And so there you go.
And Louis, what is on your outside looking in?
You know what? I'm going to give a shout out here to The Deepest Breath because this is, I believe, about
good one.
Oh my God, the word is escaping me. The deep divers. Yeah, it's about the deep diving. And I want to say that I won an award at Critics' Choice Documentary Awards. This is one that could potentially get some momentum as sort of the sports documentary that they really rally around. So I'm gonna take a gamble here and go with Deepest Breath.
Are we going one more round or no more, Malcolm?
Probably no more.
Okay, so we'll go with 8. We're gonna go with 8 then.
Knowing the documentary branch, everything we just said doesn't even make it to the short list.
Yeah,
it's fine. That's fine. It's no problem,
Malcolm. But yeah, with that, that does bring us to the end of the show today. Next week, we'll be talking about the Gotham Award winners. Was maybe depending. Is it the 20th?
No, not. It's not next week. I mean, the
Gotham Awards are happening on the day we record this. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh. But they'll be happening as we're doing the show.
I'm not sure what time it's happening, but I would imagine that was a bit. But we'll definitely be talking about the International Documentary Association next week, anyway, and maybe any news that comes out. I don't think we've got anything else planned, so it could be a short episode that week, pending time of the Gothams. But yeah. So Dan, where can people find you online?
You can find me at my name, Dan Skip Allen, or any variation of DP Skip Allen or From the Fourth Row. I'm on Threads. I'm on X. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Letterboxd. So just DP Skip Allen or Dan Skip Allen or any kind of variation of those. Also, I'm a film critic, and I write for 2 websites. One is called FromTheFourthRow.com, and the other is called DisappointmentMedia.com. And I'm all over the place on Facebook and various groups, you know, the Movie Hero Network or the Dill Pickle Network or the Take 3 Productions Network. You can see me popping up on all these every once in a while. So just keep your ears and eyes out. You'll see me.
Louis, where can people find you online?
Yeah, just go to MendesMovieReport.com. Takes you straight to my 100% free Substack. I try to get a movie review in at least once a week or so in there. There's links to where you can find me elsewhere. I also do doing Oscar projections. The end of this week, I will be updating my Oscar projections. Honestly, there's not going to be that much change other than like maybe the long list, because it really feels at the moment to me that it is the calm before the storm, before these critics start coming in, and we start to really see what they're going to try to push into the race and such. If you want to catch me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter/X, Letterboxd, just find me at Mendes Movie RPT, and that's where you can find me.
Yeah, so according to the awards calendar, the first critic circle that's going to come out is the New York Film Critics Circle, and that comes out the 30th of November. So it's definitely going to start kicking off from there. But yeah, you can find me on Tape Productions, host Rankum, every Sunday night. Next week, we're doing top 12 movies based on young adult books. And you can also find me popping up on the Movie Hero Network and all that. Also trivia over on Full Metal. This week we've got Matt Driver Vaccaro and Tony Durso dropping. And yeah, but until next time, we'll see you next week.
And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.